some exciting developments. Be careful what you wish for in life, man. Sometimes things happen and like you have no control, which can be good. Okay, never see the link. That's so lucky. The last person before I turn off your copy of the link. There's Don. Okay, Don, that's starting now. Turn that off. Okay, we're live on YouTube. And we got people crashing in the party here. Nice. So, hey, I'm Bill Gross. I'm the host here of this weekly Zoom call we do, which I've been calling Southern California Real Estate Meetup. It started in the Meetup platform. And I also have people register through Eventbrite, and we do it on Zoom. Now we're recording it and putting it on YouTube. And it's really grown. When we started this right after COVID, I did this because I used to go to a real estate meetup in Van Nuys on Wednesdays, and I'd meet 40 or 50 people weekly. It was great. I met investors, wannabe investors, vendors. And with COVID, that stopped. And to replace that, I decided on my own just to start my own meeting. And I have two. I have this one on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, this focus on real estate investment, all types. And I have one on Thursday at 4 o'clock that's focused on probate. And I've rebranded that one Probate Weekly. So if you ever want to register for that, you can go to probateweekly.com. I'm going to rebrand this one similarly. Don't know the name yet. Open any suggestions. If you guys want to put in the chat box or text or email me what you think would be a good name for this group, that would be simple, that hopefully I can grab that brand. My vision of this call, I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles, California, and I run a real estate business. I have 25 people in my company nationwide. And so I help people make more money in real estate by improving their real estate business. I help people create wealth. I help people sell properties as a listing agent. And my vision of this phone call was to be a place where people could come and new people could learn and get some guidance and mentorship. The experienced people could find some new people to help leverage their business. The people with properties to sell could come here and present them and pitch them. And people who are buying properties can come here and look at some of the properties and as well as meet some of the people as resources to buy properties from. As well as vendors. We're lucky to have a regular participant, Jack Lapidus, who's an attorney, not just any attorney, one that I've referred clients to and I'm benefiting from today as a listing agent. We bought a property with his advice. My client moved forward, and then, well, that's another one. Actually, there's two. One I got paid on, and we listed that one again, and another one we're working on. So when I say Jack's a real estate attorney, one that I've used and referred clients who are happy with the service, and as a professional, I've gotten paid. So I really appreciate his service. So that's what this is meant to be. And I think the couple of things I would say to anybody on the call is my first coach taught me that you could have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. It was Zig Ziglar. You can help it if you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And so I think oftentimes we come to networking meetings looking to meet people, to get leads, to get numbers. And I think when you're grabbing, your hands are closed, and when you're helping people, your hand is open, you're more likely to get what you really want in the long run. So I would urge you to take the opportunity to participate, to answer questions, ask questions, put in the chat box. The more you participate, the more money you make in anything in life. The more you participate, the more you get out of life, whatever it is in life. And that's true here on this call. That's also true in business. So I encourage you to participate. This is meant to be interactive and participative. It's not meant to be didactic where me or our guest who's sharing information shares. And so we do this every week. It's also streamed on YouTube. There's a comment section there as well. And so some of you are regulars, some of you are first time and come in and come out, and we're glad to have all of you. So, and it's been growing. We get about 30, 40 on the call, and we get another 40 or more on our YouTube channel, which has been fantastic. We don't charge anything. Whenever somebody comes on, I offer them to sell property or share their service because they believe in it, but we're not taking any money for any of that. You can support us by supporting the YouTube channel. If you subscribe there, you can support us by participating, ask questions, or help people who ask for help. And just make sure when you come here from a position of giving rather than just taking. We all want to get leads, and I do too. I'm an aggressive salesman, but I know in the long run, I've got a lot more by helping people than I have by taking something from anybody else. Feel free to put in your chat box your contact info if you want to share information with people about how to reach you, what product or service you have. But you can put whatever information in the chat box you want. Love to have you participate there 100%. Okay, so anybody has any suggestions on rebranding this particular call? Love to get a name. Like I said, my Thursday call is being rebranded as Probate Weekly, and turns out nobody had that domain name, so I own it, which is great. I think it's convenient and easy. It's an easy way for people to register for the call. Okay, so that was enough of a tee up. I know that Dave Weinerman had a property. So just for anybody here, again, I envision this being a marketplace where people come who have properties to sell, and where people who are looking to invest money can look at deals, and people looking to invest can learn how deals get valued. And so I constantly ask people, if you have something to share, to feel free to share it. So Dave, I know, has a project, and I know you have a longer presentation, a video, but I was wondering if you could maybe give us like a 5-minute kind of highlight points. And then if somebody wants to reach out to you, they can get your contact info out of the chat box or contact me now, put you guys together. So Dave Weinman.
Bill, thank you so much. First of all, yes, I can actually cut it down to 60 seconds or less. Some of you know that if I need to, based on the Wednesday PTRE calls. But anyhow, thank you for that. So we are looking for passive investors, minimum of $25,000 investment on projects that are lasting in duration from 8 to about 18 months. This particular project is in Sherman Oaks, single family home. We bought it at 17% below the market value. It appraised at 1.8 million, and we bought it for 17% below that, 1.495 million to be exact. We're projecting a 22% return. Project should be done. Let me back up. The house was built in 1940, last updated in the 1970s. So it's been quite a while since the property was updated. It's in a great location near Studio City, Sherman Oaks Hospital, top tier public and private schools. And our model on this one is to update, very common on the buy and flip, if you guys are familiar with that, I'm sure. Updating kitchens and bathrooms, walls, not really doing anything to changing walls, painting and updating landscaping. This one should be done around April or May of 2022. That, again, 13 to 14 months. And our all-in costs are going to be about $200,000 to do the renovations. And our projected sale is conservatively between 2.1 and 2.25 million. The ARV is a lot higher than that, but we are typically trying to under promise and over deliver. And so our projection is much lower than the ARV. You would see if you took a look at that. As Bill said, I have a full deck with a video description of the entire project, as well as other projects that we're working on and are available to our investor pool. And be happy to share with you. My information is in the chat. I, however, enter a couple times by mistake, and so it's not all in one place. But it is Dave Weinerman. My phone number is 805-573-3283. It's in the chat along with my email address. And how'd I do, Bill? That was less than 5 minutes, right?
That was great.
Okay.
We got plenty of time for questions. Who has a question? I have a question on your project.
Okay.
So you said to me, I get approached not by you, but by newer investors all the time that find properties and don't know why people aren't jumping on them. You said when you started that you bought it at 17% below the market value, right? So
the appraised value.
Face value. So you bought it for, what was the price you paid? Do you mind sharing the details? What you paid for it?
Yeah. It was appraised at 1.8 million, and we bought it for 1.495.
Okay. So presumably then you're saying that the property was worth 17% more, so 1.495 times 1.17. So you're saying the property was worth about 1.74, 1.75.
Thereabouts. The appraisal, I think, came in at 1.8, but
in the condition that it was in at that time.
Correct. Yeah.
So why would you? And I asked the question because to me,
any question, throw the darts at me.
I've never liked personally. Now I work with people who do rehabs. I do work with people who develop property. I'll sell you whatever you want to buy. But personally, I've never redeveloped a property, remodeled property because I just don't like the whole thing. But why wouldn't you, if you bought it at 149, it would sell for 1.74, you're going to pocket 17% less your closing costs. Why would that be a better investment than rehabbing it for a year, putting up another $200,000 of cash and then selling it? I understand it's, you're going to make 22%, but that's 5% more for another year's worth of work and another couple $100,000 at risk. So walk me through your thinking process when you did that.
Well, first of all, the projected sale prices are based on current numbers, right? I mean, nobody has the crystal ball, but it appears as though interest rates are going to remain low. Hi, by the way. Hi, Connor, by the way. Nice to see you. It appears as though interest rates are going to remain low. So let's say that presumably they will remain low for the next year during the duration of this project. Why wouldn't we just, well, there's two options, right? For us, really, we could just, do it all ourselves. And, we already have our money in it. We could come up with a couple $100,000 of our own money and do it in ourselves and move on as well. Right. Or just like you said, just flip it right now. The answer is that two things. Number one, we will be making more. We believe that our projections are very conservative. Historically, if anybody wants to, again, reach out to me. I'd be happy to share some case studies with you. Historically, we do way under promise and over deliver.
I think that's the main thing. You can't say that up front, but that's really your thinking is you're saying it's that much, but you're really planning on, or that's where the real money is, right? The real value for you as an investor.
Everybody tries to hedge, against some kind of unforeseen event. Something could happen. There could be a fire that burns part of the house down during the project, and it delays things, and we still make the great return, but it takes longer. That could happen.
Right.
We could have an earthquake. All kinds of things could happen. But generally speaking, we know that we have built in a great deal of safeguards into each project. This is one example. The way we acquire the properties is the key in terms of the value versus the acquisition price. And then we always have some plan in mind in terms of what we're going to do to add more values to just increase that spread between the purchase price and the ending sale price. We also have a great deal flow in place that several people on this call actually know about, where we have partners on the back end and the front end, but on the back end that actually routinely will make deals with us on an annual basis to be in our deal flow, to be able to acquire our properties as we're finishing them. So we don't have to have them sit on the MLS. We have that acceleration of our turnover in what I call the deal flow. And we may be able to maximize, get a few more dollars by waiting longer, but we're, again, under promising and over delivering in spite of maybe waiting a little bit longer on, having something go on the MLS. So did that kind of answer what you did? I know I maybe went a little
strange.
No,
I think I asked the question. Once you said that, it makes sense to me, which is, it's one thing to tell people you're conservative, but the reality is for you, a good chunk of the profit is being conservative and delivering and executing. And I can just see you push yourself in that position by having investors. You kind of have to come through for other people. And then you end up, and I know your deals, you end up making a little extra at the end more than your payout, because I've seen some of the financial deals. So that makes sense.
The other thing that I want to point out, if you don't mind, Bill, is that I have found that we are somewhat unique in terms of our strategy, our protocol. And that is that we typically hold on to a good portion, if not, we try to make it close to half of all the equity in each project for ourselves. So we don't dilute ourselves much beyond that. Every now and then, if we have some investor that really is just dying to get in the property and we've already, gotten up to our 50% number about there, we may let them in, if we have an existing relationship or something. But with that aside, we typically hold on to about half the equity of every project. So they're equally invested with our investors and sharing in the risk. But the other side is we're sharing in the upside too. And our investors really appreciate that we're, shoulder to shoulder with them.
I'm sure.
And it's a modest investment too. $25,000 to get started. Those $25,000 investor gets the same percentage return as the $250,000 investor.
Nice. Second question I have is, if you're open to sharing, how'd you find this particular property? Because it looks to me like a good chunk of the profit is on the buy, and I always hear that from investors, make more money on what they buy than what they sell. So are you able to share how you came across this particular
I
property?
can share in general, and I'll, and there's everybody has their own secret sauce, but I would presume that a lot of people on here recognize that in any business, real estate here in particular, it all boils down to relationships. And so the existing relationships that my partner in particular has with a number of people in the LA community in particular, one of whom is a CPA in a big firm in LA, and we come across a lot of distressed situations. He knows, and his partners know, that we're able and willing to acquire properties very quickly if necessary.
Nice.
Know what we're looking for, and we've been working really, really hard, as I'm sure everybody has here in their lifetimes, to develop whatever relationships you have. In this case, those are some of ours. So that's kind of how we've created that front end deal flow.
Well, so it sounds like the more people you talk to, the more money you're going to make.
I'm on the phone all the time.
You are
burning up that cell phone battery all the time. It's plugged in right now.
Yeah, and interesting. And I think for some of you on the call, particularly new investors, a lot of the things he talked about, you may not know about how the numbers work and how the rehab works and such as that. But really, I know enough about Dave to say he spends a good chunk of his day talking to people, looking for deals, looking for money. I mean, that's really what the essence of your job. There's other people, I think. You're not hammering nails in the wood, are you, Dave? Or pouring
Pardon me?
You're not hammering the nails in the wood, are you?
Any nails in the wood?
You're not hammering the nails in the
Once
wood.
in a while.
Pouring cement.
With my head, yeah.
But you're making money really by talking to people. So
no, and it's, in any business I've found, and I do a number of other things in business, Connor, and it really boils down to personal relationships, I've found, for me,
right.
on a lot of different levels.
Great. Okay, so look, I often get questions about development, opportunities, investments, fix and flips. Here's a case that really covers whether I'm investing with him or not. This covers the whole gamut of investment in real estate. Who's got a question for Dave Wyman, a real life successful real estate entrepreneur? I know you guys must.
Well, I at least play one on TV.
Yeah, you play on TV. Your son is really made for TV.
Thank you. You saw the video.
I saw the video. He really is.
I'm proud of him.
I think he's got the gift, a certain gift that you might have to go back in time if we're going to catch up with. So,
yeah, he's light years ahead of me for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Julie Pearson says to me, my slogan could be "Talk to people, make more money." No, I would say to you, talk to more people, make more money. It's just a mathematical principle. Talk to more people, make more money. The people who make a lot of money talk to a lot of people. It's just mathematics. At some point, unless you're really, really smart, you can sit in a room with in a cave and computer program or something. I don't know. I don't know too many people like that. I know a lot of people who talk to more people equals. There you go. Talk to more people equals make more money. Very good. Okay, who's got a question for Dave besides me? I mean, I could go on and on. He and I are friends, and we talk all the time. And I don't mean to drag him out, but any other questions for Dave Wyman? Now, if you want to reach him, he put his contact info in the chat box. I know somebody wanted him to reach out to them. So, Dave, I'll make sure you get that. If you didn't pick up the chat box, I'll get that for you.
Yeah, I saw that. And I sure will.
Okay, good.
Thank you. I'll be happy.
And so, good. And if you want to reach him, Dave, the best way to reach you is
805-573-3283. Or my email address, DB, and my last name, Weinerman, WEIN, well, it's on the screen, ERMAN @gmail. Or by our website, scoutpads.com, SCOUTPADS.
And I'm with Dave and a couple other network groups, and he's always scrounging somebody's name, number, email to make those contacts. And I think that's, when you want to see success, it always leaves clues. And one is he's focused on meeting people. So congratulations, David. Thanks for sharing the project with us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was nice sharing with everybody. And I look forward to having a chance to talk with you too, whenever you have Or if there's something I can do to help somebody, that too. Bill, you are right. It makes me feel good to help others as well.
Yeah, really makes it much better for everybody. And how would somebody, if they're interested in that particular project, refer to that project? Is there an address or a name of the project that somebody referred to?
It's in the deck, so it would, whoever wants to, again, reach out to me. I'll be
Contact
happy
you.
to share the deck.
Got it.
And the details are there. Comps are in the deck as well.
Fantastic.
It's pretty comprehensive, as you saw when you've seen them too, others in the past.
Yeah, several.
So,
Yeah, I
all
like
those
them.
details are there.
Yeah, it's not really my particular cup of tea. I'm being a broker and I'm more turning my money over more quickly when I get deals. But that said, for people looking for a year or two return, I think it's a very appropriate investment, and I definitely recommend it highly. I've seen their projects from beginning to end. So thank you, Dave, for sharing that.
Thank you again.
I also, Don, I know you and I spoke a little bit about some of the programs that you have to offer. Did you want to share one or two maybe highlights of that package that you think might be a benefit? Keeping in mind that we have on the call here, people want to invest in real estate. They may have equity in their house. I think your bridge loan product maybe, or something else. You want to share something there?
Sure, thank you. I appreciate that. I am a hard money lender with a company called Stonecrest Financial. We've been in business about 35 years, and they're based out of San Jose. I am working down in the Los Angeles area, and we have a bridge loan product, which I think most of you are probably familiar with. I'm not sure. It's a consumer product for somebody who is selling their primary residence and they want to buy another primary residence, but they don't want to have to sell their current residence first. They can take the equity out of their current residence in order to purchase the new property. And we can close on that new house, and then they can take their time to either cosmetically fix up their house, kind of move out so they can stage it to get more money for it. It's a great opportunity for people to be able to get into the dream home that they want without having to sell their current property first. It allows them to make a non-contingent offer. And it's kind of like making an all cash offer on a property. I've seen, we can pre-approve you before you even find that new house that you want. So it allows you to, like I said, just basically make an all cash offer. So you're not competing against, the other people that are coming in, which I've heard a lot recently. A lot of realtors have been telling me that their buyers are losing the houses that they really want due to multiple offers. So this allows them to unlock that equity in their primary residence.
Well, let me clue you in a little bit here for everybody on the call. There's a great tool on Redfin. I'm not a big fan of the company Redfin, but I love their website. And they have on any zip code, if you put in, search the zip code, Market Insights, it will tell you about that zip code. And many of the zip codes that I've been looking at, my listings are, it'll have the average number of offers per sale. And for example, I just sold a house in West Hills, 10 offers on average for each sale. So agents may not be telling you that, but that's the reality is that you want to be competitive, make your offer as strong as you can. So that's a good one. Let me ask a couple of questions on that, on the bridge loan product.
Sure.
What's qualifying on that like? Because and is the lien on the new house, the old house, or both?
So
Questions. Let's start with the first question. What's qualifying like versus a regular loan?
qualifying is basically, it's the equity in the property. The equity in your current residence, we will cross both to allow us to give up to 100% financing on the purchase price of the new house if there's enough equity in the property. We'll go up to 70%, sometimes 75% maximum loan to value. And by crossing the two, it allows us to give a higher loan amount, which means your borrowers don't have to come up with much down. Qualifying, we don't look at debt to income ratios. That's not an issue for us, which is huge in the conventional lending space. DTIs don't matter. It's basically, we can do a appraisal on the purchase property and we can do a BPO on the departing property. So that saves a little bit of time and money there as well. We do like to see a reasonable exit strategy. This is a short-term solution. It's 3, 6, or 11 months. It doesn't go beyond that, and there are no extensions because DRE won't allow it. So RESPA won't allow us to go over 11 months. But it's really, really easy to qualify for that loan. Really
Tell
easy.
me, and I know I saw your material and I went through it. tell me, what would you recommend for an investor who maybe owns a residence with a lot of equity, not looking to buy a house for residence, but wants to buy a house for investment? Maybe
That would
maybe a
be, we have,
rehabilitation.
yeah, we have a private, very rare, only a few lenders, I think, have this product. We have a private money revolving line of credit. You can use it for any purpose whatsoever. It does need to be placed primarily against a non-owner property, but it's a revolving line of credit. You only pay what you use. You can extend it. We have terms 1 to 3 years, and you only have to pay points once. Once the loan matures, you just pay an extension fee. You don't have to go through title and escrow again. You know, you don't have to submit all your documentation again, and it can be used for anything. A lot of our investors use it for their construction funds on their fix and flips, because you don't have a third party that has to hold your money in trust. And like a regular private money lender, you have to pay on the entire amount from the second that you close. And some of them even charge you for draws, and we don't. You use it for whatever you want. You call and you say, hey, I need another 100 grand, and we wire it out. And those loans can be closed really quickly. They can be closed within days.
Commonly, are you taking out somebody else's hard money loan with your line of credit, or?
No. I mean, we won't go behind another line of credit. I mean, we won't go behind another private money loan. So, you know, we would need to, the financing stays in place as long as it's conventional financing. If it's private, we'd have to take that out. We don't want to go behind that.
Okay.
There are rare instances if somebody has a long term on that first, and we would mature before them, but typically that's not the case. Typically they're short term.
So I've had clients maybe who pay cash to buy a property from some sort of a short term. They borrow money from their IRA, but they want to pay it back in 30 days, or they want to, something like that. So that'd be a vehicle to do that, right? They buy the property, put the money back, and then use your line to replace that.
They can use the line to replace it, or they can also just get a private loan, private mortgage. You know, if you plan on, let's say you want to take out a $500,000 line, and you plan on using that $500,000 right away, you're better off just going with a standalone. If you want to have that money if you want to have that money at your fingertips to make an offer on a property that you don't want to lose, you know, an investment property that may be in foreclosure or whatever, and you want to, you know, have that money available, you flip it, you pay it back, you use it again, you flip it, you pay it back, you use it again. You only pay on the money that you use. So it's a pretty great vehicle. And we've had some investors that have had their line for 10 years. They just keep extending it. So yeah, it's pretty great.
So for any investor looking for private money, I'd ask you how to contact you, but it's actually right over your shoulder there. Otherwise, there you go.
I know.
Normally, the hard money lender guy is the guy. You know, in the old days, he had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He was tattooed. It's like you're talking to a mafia boss to get the money. Dawn's awfully nice. Right? I know her through another network I'm involved with, and I know the company and checked them out pretty good. So, tell me about the process. If I was looking to invest, I know I need financing, but I'm not really sure. Working with you, maybe my first time, maybe I've done one or two before, looking for a better vehicle. Do you meet with them? Do you consult ahead of time? Do they talk to you after they were in escrow? At what point do you get involved with somebody who's trying to put a strategy together?
It depends. I mean, if somebody has a property that they want now, obviously we'll go for that. If they want to be pre-approved, we can also explore that. As far as the line goes, again, if you want to, you know, contact me and we put together a line of credit for you, it sits there. You don't pay on it.
Got it.
So you use it. So in my opinion, it's better to just have it and have it sitting there waiting for you for when you do need it. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Just contact me. We look at your properties. You know, we'll look at your loan to values. Maybe you want to cross multiple properties in order to get the amount that you want, the amount of the line that you want, because we will go up to 75% with manager's discretion, but typically we like to stay at 70. But yeah, it's a simple process. We've got 2 guys that run our company. They make the decisions. You know, we don't have to go out and get someone else to approve it. If they say it's going to happen, it closes. So it's a pretty great thing. The company I worked for before did not have their own fund. And so we had to go out and find investors for every deal, which the process took a lot longer. And a lot of times the investors would change their mind, at the 12th hour, which created a lot of headache. So having your own fund and having it managed in-house is pretty great.
And so some of the people I know on the call don't have access to the chat box. Truth is, on your iPhone, you do. You just swipe over, but some people don't know that if they swipe over, they're going to get lost. But if somebody wanted to reach you, Don, how would they reach you?
Well, I did put my phone number in the chat, and my email address and everything is up here, but I will put it back in the chat again, unless you want me to just tell you. My cell phone number is 818-599-8955. My work number is up here, but I really recommend everybody call me through my cell anyway. So I'm pretty much always available, unless I'm on the phone, pretty much always available. My email address, dbuttar, B-U-T-T-A-R, at stonecrest.net.
Fantastic. Well, look, Don, I know I put you on a spot and asked you to be on today and share with us a little bit, but I really appreciate you jumping in. And so a couple quick, I've got a question on your contact. You did that. And then line of credit interest rates. Are you able to share? Or is that something?
I can. Sorry, I have it kind of diminished here. The interest rate, there we go. The interest rates it's on a tier system. So it's based on credit, although you don't have to have great credit. It's based on credit. It's based on loan to value. And it's not exactly based on the amount of the line. Oh, and by the way, the line, we can go up to $10 million on the line. So that's available. Yeah, it's a big number. So it's a pretty big number. Used to be 5. When I came along, I've been getting some pretty big deals, and so they increased it to 10. So that was pretty great. The interest rate I'd say it starts around 8%, and it kind of jumps up. So if you want a 1-year loan, like 8% and 2 points. If you want a 2-year loan, we add a quarter onto the rate. A quarter onto the points and 0.5% onto the rate. And it kind of jumps up there. However, nothing is set in stone. It's just a matrix that they gave me when I first started working there to, kind of get my feet wet and understand the product. I can negotiate. It's going to be crazy low, but I can negotiate, what I need to get the deal done. However, with that said, the rate, I don't know if it sounds high to you guys or not. I know private money lenders are not cheap, but you're only paying on what you use. So if you did a side-by-side comparison of a standalone second and a line of credit, and let's say you use 75% of your line, you're going to end up saving money with the higher interest rate line of credit than you would a standalone second, unless you plan on using the full amount at close. If you want to use the full amount at close, don't get a line of credit. So just not worth it, unless you want to flip something and pay it back right away. So that's where they start. But everything's negotiable. If it's a great deal, we're not going to let it go. I will make it happen if it's a great deal. If it's a good deal, we will make it happen.
Excellent.
So yeah, every scenario is different. Every deal has its own story. So we make deals happen. If they're a good deal, we do it.
I started the business when long-term mortgage rates just dropped below 10%. It was like a national holiday refinancing. It was insane intensity of phone calls to people. When the 30-year fixed rate was 10%, in those days, credit lines were like maybe 18%. And they seem to stay there for a long time, but they've come down a lot. So 8%. Look, Dave just talked about a project where he bought a property 17% below market.
Right.
So you're not borrowing the money for a year. If you a line of credit on a fix and flip, you might keep it for a quarter of a year. You might only pay 2% in interest plus your closing costs. So this money is available, and I'm sure Don on acquisitions doesn't go to 100% necessarily, but we have other people on this phone call that would partner with you and provide some of the capital to buy the property. So I've been in this business since 1986. There has never been a better time to start in investing, fixing, and flipping. There's more money available than any time in my career. Dawn's just another resource available to you guys. And she gave us her contact info. It's in the chat box as well.
Yeah, I'll put it back in there again because it's way up there. But
but at the same time, if anybody in this call, if you need to get in touch with somebody who we talk to, feel free to reach to me. I'd be glad to be the middleman. So Dawn, thank you so much for sharing with us. Come back again next week, share another product, okay?
I would love to.
Ed Berlinski, right next to you. He's in the window right next to you on my screen. Maybe
No,
you
he's not on my screen. He's below me, but
okay. Well, you guys should talk probably, it would seem maybe, and hopefully maybe that'll help out.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a good product, and we're all here because we want to make money and, and be a resource for other people. So
Definitely. Definitely.
for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody have any property they want to pitch? Any other product or property that somebody talked about property ahead of time that I meant to include? Or anybody have a property in particular they'd like to walk us through real quick?
I sent a couple in the chat box that I found. One of them, 2133 West, 111th Street in Los Angeles, 90047. In the listing, it said probate title issues, but you're not really finding a lot in LA. That's a house, 3-1, that's like around the fives. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if it's already in escrow or not, but I try to give you little treasures when I'm searching around.
Thanks. I saw that and I get all excited like a piece of meat for a dog.
I figured that
Title
you did.
issues, probate issues.
You came straight to mind when I saw that in there. I'm like thinking, Bill's probably like already on this.
Well, it's funny you say that because the truth is, theoretically, any property that's listed for sale in the MLS that is noted properly by the agent as being a probate property, which they're supposed to do, I've already seen at some level. Now you see things and they change. This one is currently in the MLS. Yeah, it is listed. But when it says title problems, to me, that means they need some help. And so that's what I am. I want to be that help to get them through the process. So this one's still for sale. So I'm going to take a look at it.
Yeah, take
Who
a
else
look
is
at it.
interested in it as well? Love to partner with somebody on there or help them through the title problem. So
The other interesting one that I saw was in San Pedro. It was a little bit more expensive. It was 561 West 12th Street in San Pedro. I thought I saw that it said it was 4 units, so quadplex. But it was listed at 799, and to me, it looked like it said they were all below market rent. So I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to trap some poor new investor that's going to say, "Ooh, yay, a quadplex! I'll just kick them out
right.
and fix up the building." But that was another one that caught my attention. That I said, "Oh, something was a little fishy there." If they're saying that they're all under market rent, and some agent's going to say, "Sure, you can get them out, no lickety split."
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's no lickety split today when it comes to tenant issues, but
No.
there are people who have different strategies and different things. We have one where we, in fact, I think we're not working with Jack on the legal part. I think referred my client to somebody else where we bought property and there's somebody there that deterred anybody else from participating. But my client bought the property at a great discount and is putting up the money to do the legal work. And we have an angle, we think, to get them to move forward on it. So it's not done yet, but we feel pretty good about where we're at on that deal. So sometimes I look for problem files because if we can solve the problem and nobody else can, we get paid. That's how it works. So good. Thank you, Melissa. Always looking for some gems for us. Thank you, Melissa.
Of course. Always.
And Melissa runs property management. What's the company name, actually?
Yeah, my company is Real Property Management, California Coast. I'm located in El Segundo. We manage about 700 doors throughout Los Angeles and at single family homes and multifamily complexes. Bring your
and I
problems.
referred her a good client of mine to use her, so I feel confident enough not just to introduce her, but actually refer clients of mine. So she's fantastic. And property management, if you have questions on buying multifamily, she can help you with that as far as the tenant issues. And thank you, Melissa comes on almost every week, and almost every week has a couple distressed properties. And so many investors tell me they're looking at distressed properties, and every week she gives us 1 or 2 that are worth looking at. So I would just say to you guys, on this, if you're on the Zoom call, you can save the chat. Even on your iPhone, there's a way to do it, but I'm not here to give technical support. But on your desktop, you can save the chat till later or catch it when she puts it in and research those properties. And if there's a problem with the title, call me up. I'd be glad to walk you through it and see if I can help you with it. So, Melissa, thank you so much.
Always. I love to help everybody. Pay it forward.
Great. Absolutely. You do. You have. Good. Who else has a question, challenge, problem, or property to pitch? We can, as we move towards finishing up here today. Anybody else have any questions, problems, challenges I can help with?
I've got a creative product that I'm working on that's a bit different.
Dr. Ed, you're out of uniform.
I know I had to dress up for your Zoom. I put a jacket on. I had to upscale myself.
Okay, so tell us about your product.
Well, it seems to me that in the coming months, there's going to be a lot of real estate owners that have needs for emergency funding, emergency cash to pay off various obligations of all kinds. And they're not going to have the time to approach a bank and to spend 4 to 6 weeks attempting to get a loan against their property. And there's a methodology which is called discounted sale and buyback, which basically amounts to someone like myself who doesn't know that person, who isn't familiar with the property, who's taking a huge risk in lending money very quickly, meaning within 3, 4, 5 business days, that it isn't realistic that basically the average person in the street can make that loan. But if I basically enter into the following structure, maybe I can make it. And that following structure is that I will agree to buy your property for half of what it's worth. And at the same time, I will give you an option to buy it back from me for an increased price within a year. And that does 2 things. It gives you an immediate access to those funds, and it allows you to retain a vested interest in your property, particularly if it's a property that you feel is going to appreciate greatly in the next year or so. Now, that involves a lot of complicated administrative work. Anytime you change title, you end up with a closing on the front end. When he buys it back, he ends up with a closing on the back end. And in the meantime, there are flows in and out if it's an income producing property, which can make it very, very complicated, particularly if the investor is getting his funds from an IRA account where all those ins and outs have to go through the IRA account. And so what I'm in the process of devising is the following. Instead of basically buying that property for half price and giving that person the option to buy it back in a year for the same price I paid plus, let's say, 20%, I do this. I basically give him 50% of the value of his property, and he gives me an option to buy his property back at the same amount that basically I gave him. The only money that changes hands is the money that I advance to him and the money that he advances back to me. And let's assume for the moment that the property is worth $1 million. I will give him a check for $500,000. I'll have an option basically to buy his property for $500,000, but he can extinguish my option by basically giving me a check after 1 year for $600,000. And at the closing, the initial closing, what we will be doing is we will be completing all the closing papers, and he will be executing a sale for that $500,000, which will be put in escrow for the full year and will remain in escrow. And by doing that and structuring the transaction in that way, we eliminate all of those ins and outs and everything else. And he eliminates the fact that he really doesn't want to change title to his property and be required to buy it back in a year and deal with all the complications of changes of managers and changes of taxes and changes the utility addresses and all of that nonsense.
Right.
Because these two offsetting options are basically in place instead of all that. And the option that I will receive is an option that I'll be recording at the courthouse. So it won't be something that's hidden or secret or anything else, but anyone that goes to the courthouse will be able to see I have an option to buy that at 500,000. My guess is that the chances that he will pay me back 600,000 to basically extinguish my option are 99.9%, because he doesn't want to lose his property that's worth $1 million
Right.
for basically 500,000. And so again, it's a streamlined way to basically put a hunk of cash in someone's pocket that they need desperately within the next 3, 4, 5 days.
So Ed Berlinski is Dr. Ed because he's a doctor of real estate, been on for a while, seen a lot of things. Obviously, that's a complicated, detailed process. But really what you're saying is, and what's going to happen, I think you're right, that as the market starts to turn, there'll be people who have loans that are due. They won't be able to get financing from the bank. The banks are already overwhelmed. I could barely get a cashier's check and redeposit at Wells Fargo. They're so behind on all their paperwork and everything. But if you find somebody who's desperate for some cash and has a lot of equity at the risk of losing property, reach out to Dr. Ed and run the scenario by him. And he has cash and he can move quickly and he is the decision maker, right? Is that fair, Ed?
That's correct.
If someone wanted to reach you, Ed, how would they get hold of you?
I put all of my contact information in the chat.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
This is Peggy Beauregard.
Sure.
So Ed, someone needs money out of a property, can't get a refi on it. Do they get to still live in their house?
Absolutely. But
Okay.
again, this is for only investment properties. It does not include owner-occ situations, because it then puts you in consumer laws and all of the administrative nightmares related to consumer laws. So an occupant could not use this program.
So
So
we're talking about-
basically, it's a loan against the property in a sense.
Office buildings we're talking about and
The
commercial.
lien
buildings,
against the
multifamily.
property would be the option.
Or rentals.
You know what we hear, what you're going to hear again, which has gone away, is there'll be people who have a property, maybe a multifamily or an office building, and they made some sort of a deal with some sort of a balloon payment, and the refinance falls out the last minute, and they're desperate to get the property, get some cash to keep somebody off of their back. And if you find those scenarios, bring it to Dr. Ed, and he can help you with that, and also can help make some quick money on the deal. So again, we're in the business, and let me just repeat one other thing I say a lot, which is we're in the business. If you're a real estate professional, if you're just an investor and you want your return for money, you're a customer. But if you're a professional real estate investor who's always looking for deals, or a salesperson or a vendor, we're looking for people with problems, and we get paid to solve their problem. So you find somebody who has the problem of, I have a note due, I have a thing due, I have to pay, and I'm going to lose my property. It's worth $2 million and I need $1 million right away. Dr. Ed's the kind of guy that can help you solve that problem. Does that sound about right? And the details you can sit down with and walk through at that time. That's basically the concept, which is somebody with a lot of equity in a property, non-residential, not their house. You can help them save the property, perhaps, if there's equity, by advancing some of the funds.
It even works with a house as long as you're not living in it.
So residential property, as long as it's not you're living in the property, not your primary residence, but investment property. Great. Dr. Ed, thank you. Put your contact info.
I
in the
know
chat
it's
box.
complex. I apologize for the complexity, but it's so much simpler than the old way of doing it.
Well, and I'm sure I know Dr. Ed well enough to know that if you're interested, and or if you have somebody who needs the help, he'll walk you through it. So give him a call. His number's in the chat box, 818-224-0553, or edberlinski@gmail.com, and I put in the chat box. Dr. Ed, thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you very much, Bill.
Good. I got another question from Sandra Franco. Sandra, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I had a question with regards to probate. There's a property that a business partner and I are going to be submitting a bid on. I had spoken with the property owner, and she decided to go by way of an agent, real estate agent. She just recently got clearance with regards to title through probate court to get her deceased sister replaced by her niece, at which point she decided to go with an agent to list the property. So we'll be making a bid on it, but because it is a probate property, she had stated that it'll be contingent on, I guess, the probate being cleared. So my question is just basically, is there, because it is a probate property, anything that additional that should be of concern once we get the bid, if in fact it's approved, that maybe I should know, to ask or question about?
In your particular case, I mean, I can talk about in general, and I'll talk about your case in particular. In general, I would say the facts you gave don't quite add up right, because if they've already changed title in probate court, then now it's no longer probate property. It's just a regular property that the niece acquired through probate, but it's now titled in her name. She owns it. Usually it happens at the end when the probate's closed. Sometimes they, during their probate process, they want to sell the property. Probate's opened, and the person who was running the probate estate, the petitioner, until they get approved, it becomes the executor or administrator. The executor is named in the will. If they're not named in the will, they're called an administrator. That person, once they have the authority to sell the property, will often list the property, and then that may or may not need court approval, depending on the type of probate that it is. So really what you need, sometimes people don't know that just because they have a will and aunt so-and-so left the property to niece so-and-so, they may not know that they need to go through court, get their letters approved. And then there's a form you have to file called the 15-day notice of action that puts people on notice that you're about to do something if the probate's still open. That gets a little tricky because sometimes attorneys will say, well, it's not required for whatever reason. And that might be true legally. This is where attorneys are right, but they're wrong. They might be right that they don't need the form, but they're wrong in that you can't get title insurance without it. If you can't get title insurance, you can't really sell the property. You can't get financing, and most retail buyers won't buy the property without title insurance. So I would say, offline, what I say to anybody, because these things do get complex, and I could bore you with a few more possible details. You don't know each other, Sandra. Call me, text me, email me, and I'm glad to look at something. And I'm not going to steal your deal, but I'm going to see if I can find the particulars of the case. If it's in LA, it's really easy. Is it Orange County or LA County?
LA.
Very easy to find out the exact status of the account, where it is, who the attorney is, and we can solve the problem. But in general, and this is the thing I get commonly, is even the people who are in the probate, the executor, administrator, the petitioner, even the attorney, don't really know the process well enough, and they'll give you like half of the facts right and half the facts wrong, and that will confuse you. So feel free on this one. I'll give you the exact status if you text me or email me, okay?
Great.
Plus, good excuse to talk to you again, Sandra.
Same here.
As if I need one. Okay. Ellis from San Jose asked a question. I believe this goes back to Ed Berlinski, which is, what's the tax impact of a sale? And I think the answer to that is the sale is only contingent, so there's no tax impact unless and until the option's executed or not. But if the option's extinguished, there is no sale, I believe, so there would be no tax implications. Is that correct? Dr. Ed? You're muted, Dr. Ed.
The only thing I guess I can opine on is that my own tax situation. I'm not sure about the other side, but to the extent that I'm advancing the money from a Roth IRA, and in the example I gave you, the effective interest rate would have been 20%, that basically, to me, it's a tax-free event simply because I use the money from the Roth IRA.
Right. But to the owner of the house, they're not really selling you the house ever, right? They're giving you an option, which doesn't, that if they pay you back is extinguished,
Yeah.
there'd be no tax at that point, correct?
Well, the beauty of it is that it totally removes the need to basically sell the house
Right.
and buy the house back, which is
Right.
in and of itself a complicated process
Right.
and full of all kinds of expenses and
Right.
unnecessary administrative work. This just
Right.
eliminates all of that.
And he also asked the question, would it trigger property tax assessment? But again, you're not selling the property, you're not really buying the property. It doesn't really change ownership unless, in essence, it's foreclosed on. But in the course of a normal loan, where they give you an option and they extinguish it, there wouldn't be any change of ownership to trigger property tax.
Correct. And also, the important thing is that if a person owns let's say it's a triple net leased retail property, and the tenant is a nice solid tenant in there, this allows the owner of the property to just continue managing and receiving the payments and making the expenses as he does every day and every month without any change whatsoever. And also it doesn't place a very low sales price in the courthouse, which is an artificial sales price, because we both know that he's going to buy it back from me. And therefore it really, really makes a lot of problems disappear.
Great. So again, obviously very complicated, very detailed. Each case is different. Don't do this without proper legal support if you're on the borrowing side. But if you have somebody who has a problem and needs cash, feel free to talk to Dr. Ed. He's a real estate doctor. He's not a technology doctor. He's not a doctor of fashion, but he's a real estate doctor because he's been in this business for so long. And he has a YouTube channel where it says he's Dr. Ed. So he must be a doctor, because if he's on YouTube as a doctor, it must be true. Okay, hey, we're going to wrap up here. I just realized the time, and I have we got to keep this under an hour. So if you have any other questions, feel free to call, text, email me. If I can help, I'm Bill Gross. My number is 310-210-0008, 310-210-0008. My email is bill@thelaprobateexpert.com, bill@thelaprobateexpert.com. And if you want more information about what I work on my other meetings, data sources for probate real estate, text good stuff to 213-460-2577. Again, that's 213-460-2577. You text good stuff there, you'll get some good stuff back. Appreciate you guys being on the call today. Thank you for those who contributed. Melissa, as always, thank you for your help. Dave Weinman, thank you. Dr. Ed, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Good question, Sandra. Don, thank you for sharing on the lending. If I forgot somebody, please forgive me. Have a great week. If I can help, please let me know. Thanks so much.